Okay, before you leave, because of the low frame rate, it is intentional, and that's because today I'm going to be sort of showing you, just demonstrating a software that interpolates video frames, okay? This is currently 20 FPS, and the software will say, oh, one frame on object's here, the next frame it's here, therefore it should be here in the middle frame, right? And obviously it's very complex how it does that. It uses a GAN, Generative Adversarial Neural Network, and it's got a generator and a discriminator, and it trains it. And it can track objects, and it's exceptionally clever. I didn't make it. I'm going to put all the disclaimers and everything in the description. If you do want to try it, you will need a good computer, good GPU, unless you don't mind waiting a couple of years. I'm going to be doing this, so 4 times interpolation, so it's going to have, if the initial frame rate was 20, it's going to become 80, right? And I'm going to be doing this with 20 to 80, 30 to 120, and 60 to 240. And of course, I can only upload in 60 FPS, so I'm going to be blurring that, right? So it sort of shows them at the same time and interpolates, and that is a different software, but helps to demonstrate this one. I don't know when I switched it on, because of course it's done in post-production, but that was 20 to 80. And you'll notice the artifacts you're seeing will be a lot more exaggerated on the lower FPS, right? Because if we've got low FPS and I do a movement, then it's... I've done a couple tests, right, and even the crosshair, if it like attaches to an object, then it will start to move, which is strange. But hopefully, in the higher FPS, unless I move really quick, and things are changing super fast, then it should look a bit smoother and usable. I'd argue that doing 20 FPS is almost unusable unless you're moving fairly slow. But yeah, let's increase the frame rate and give it a try. So this is now 30 FPS. It should look, well, it's 1.5 times the frequency of how often it records frames. I haven't tested it. I've only tested it with 20 FPS going to 80. Yeah, so this should look fairly smoother, hopefully a little bit less artifacts depending on how quick I move around. In theory, there's no limit to how many times you can interpolate, right? So you could go from 30 to 60 to 120 and just keep going. But no new information is added, right? It obviously can't do that. It's just going to try and one frame to the next, and it will work out how it gets there, basically. So yeah, that's probably long enough. Yeah, I don't have all day to sit and watch the video process, so I won't spend too long doing this. That's 30 FPS. Red wins. And me testing the 60 FPS, or at least demonstrating it, is going to be a bit different from the other two, and that's because media is normally shared in that frame rate, right? On YouTube, that is the frame rate that the video will be in. And for that reason, I can interpolate this 100 times, and in theory it will look the same, because it will only be 60 FPS. So if I blur that in post-process, so if we have a video that is in 240 FPS, and let's say there's 4 frames, so one here, one here, one here, one here, where this object is, and normally that would be sort of downscaled in a way to only include this one and then the one over here, if that makes sense. These ones will be disregarded because it's moved down to 60 FPS. We can blur that and sort of show these ones with different opacities, and it will make it look a little bit smoother, even though the actual video will only be at 60 FPS. And yeah, we'll see the difference. I've not tested this yet, so it could look the exact same, could look a bit smoother. Yeah, hopefully this was fairly entertaining. Cool. Can do that. Ooh.